The main social group in my film is young adults, or teenagers, you could say. Roughly, in my film, they're all playing age of about 18. The majority of my characters are male. However, I have counterbalanced this by the female characters all being fairly strong-willed and all different personality types from each other. I have tried to have quite a positive view on my protagonists, as I feel my audience would rather see them in a good light rather than be offended, as they would be roughly the same age as the social group in my film. My main character is Anthony, who I want to play on mostly because he will have more of the backstory later on in the film, as he is the most unusual character. He is a well-off young man, intelligent, reclusive, with strong psychopathic tendencies, which I want to have derived from being badly treated as a young person, which has made him form attachments completely wrong and not understand the difference between right and wrong, essentially. I've portrayed him to be a very anxious person by his constant questioning as to why they're late and the moving things about and being so specific with what he wants the night to be like and how he set up everything in his house or in the building they're in. I've also shown his lack of empathy by how he has treated Mitchell in the film, as at the beginning he slaps Mitchell for doing a job for him wrong without any hesitation, doesn't apologise, he just walks off, which is a very negative view, as I do want this character to be shown very negatively, but then later on in the film, if it was to be carried on, it would be shown why he's like this and all the different negative experiences that happen to him, so even though the audience will still view him as negative, they'll understand and perhaps even empathise with him why, even if they don't think what he's done is right as a character. Also, to follow the stereotypical ideas of the rich are greedy, I have incorporated the idea that they should not be trusted because it is this greed which is most important to them, which I got this idea, I wasn't originally going to incorporate it, but after doing some research on cheap thrills and Would You Rather, I found it to be quite a useful way to interest the audience and give them a relatable issue, which will make them dislike that particular character. However, usually in horrors it's more used for the victims or the people who die first rather than the antagonists, except for in Cheap Thrills and Would You Rather. It makes the audience feel really uncomfortable and quite angry with these characters because they just throw their money away at the expense of others, and to even bribe them into doing something they really should not be doing. For the rest of my characters, I did stick to quite a lot of conventions of the stereotypical teenagers you expect to see in any film, especially horrors, such as in the Scream films, for example. They're mostly viewed on social groups such as teenagers and friend groups. I wanted to do this so the audience would focus more on Anthony, Mitchell and Jude by making those characters more complex and the rest stereotypical, so that the audience could just assume what they were like without paying much attention to them subconsciously. For example, the character Anastasia plays a typical popular girl who wears the latest trends and makeup and blonde and all that typical stuff you see in the popular girls of horrors or teen movies, rom-coms, etc. This will make them less interested in these characters because they've seen them before, which will help them pay more attention to the unconventional characters, which is what I wanted. Also, along with the male characters of the friend group, unlike the female characters who are all different stereotypes, I wanted the male characters to be very similar to each other, to play on the female characters more, because often in horrors you see they play on the vulnerability often placed upon female characters, which is why then usually the surviving character is a girl, the stereotype of the final girl, because it's an unusual and quite uplifting for the audience to think that the underdog wins in the end, in a sense. Therefore, the male characters who are not the antagonists, or the less important male characters to the film, aren't seen in as much detail, because horrors do play on the female characters more because of the vulnerability factor. So the males tend to all have similar roles, which is often shown in films such as Scream, which is, in my point of view, a complete play on the conventionality of horror films and how people stereotype teens.